Good afternoon, good evening, good whatever it is for you. This is your host for the weekend review, Isaac Vatukpa. Um, there's been a lot in the news this week, but I want to say welcome to all of you. Um, I hope you had a good week. I hope you're looking forward to a good weekend. Again, want to express our sympathy to the Sawyer family. We know that there will be a funeral in the DMV area. We don't have the details yet, but I know it's out there. So for those who are interested to pay the last respects to Dr. Sawyer, um, since most likely they may not be going to Liberia, please try and do so. He served our country well. No man is perfect. People got their flaws. People got their butts. But to the extent that, an individual had a very storied public service, you got to get in some respect for that. So we just want to say we wish resilience and perseverance for the family. Our prayers are with them. And we hope, they are able to come out of this understanding the patriarch that he had in the family and his different contributions to our people. Yeah, so what was the hottest item in the news this week? Was it the American ambassador's statement? I know a lot of people were upset about it from a sovereignty perspective. Obviously, we're a sovereign country, and we should be, given the desired diplomatic respect. That's expected. That's why, in my response, I was actually shocked or just surprised that release was coming from the U.S. ambassador. I thought it was a joke at first, but then when I found out it was actually true, and the ambassador laid out, all those issues in a very frontal, manner, not biting his tongue. It was tough. It was tough for the Liberian people. I'm very sure it was tough for the Liberian government. But the reality of the situation is, everybody does not have to agree. And I always say that's the beauty of democracy. The fact that we can all look at the ambassador's statement and be able to, have some concerns about it, have some issues. At the same time, have some support on, what he was talking about. So it's, I just want to assume that most of you have already read what the ambassador said. But if you didn't, the crux of the issue is the ambassador was celebrating J.J. Roberts' birthday, and he was trying to give us something to think about, something to pause and consider. And there are a lot of nuggets in there. Some of them, people have the right to take issues with. Again, we are a sovereign country. For the ambassador to come out like that and give those kind of lashings to our government, that's not an easy pill to swallow for any Liberian. But at the same time, many people understand that this government causes those kind of lashes to be given to them, unfortunately. And, some of the historical things that some people had issues with was they felt J.J. Roberts was not the right, Liberian leader to use, but I don't know who he could have used. I mean, his reference and analogy was about founding fathers. J.J. Roberts is a founding father. Yes, there are complaints about some of the things he did, that he was a tax collector. He used to go in the bush there and flog people. He was probably connected with the death of another Liberian president. And, there are many things out there. But as you all know, to a large extent, our history is scattered. So people may have different opinions or interpretations of that period of time. But there's no question that, the foundation our country was built on was flawed. It was a replica of that slave mentality, and that divisiveness, that division. We are still suffering from that foundation today. But that does not take away from what's actually happening with this particular government and the promises, it made to the people and the situation that's going on in the country. It's no lie that there's significant donor funds spent in our country, but we also got to take an analytical look at the donor process, whether it's the unilateral donor fund, the multilateral, or some of the official development assistance, ODAs that come to this country, and see what really is in it for Liberia. That's something we have been asking for a long time ago. And we know today there's a lack of trust between our international partners and our government. So I believe a lot of funds are going through NGOs now, and USAID always been utilizing its own NGOs, which I believe is a kind of job shift, an operation for their own, private sector, including the civil service organizations to be able to benefit. So it's not a strange thing, but we have not demanded as a country a real analysis of the dollar value that accrues to us or all this aid that we get. How much really? Some people say 25 cents on the dollar. That's what I've been using as a staple. But other people may say, different amounts. So what really is the amount that accrues to us? We don't know. But the point is, significant aid has been documented over the years, whether under this government or under previous governments. And we cannot deny that. We cannot deny that those funds have been abused in many instances and not used for the right purposes. All the different major programs, from the malaria program to the TB program to this program, they all have been fraught with corruption. And we know that. People know the people. Even this Ebola thing that just happened a few years ago, there was a lot of corruption there. The COVID thing that happened recently, there's a lot of corruption. Even continuing now with the funds being collected at the airport, and the border points for, the COVID tests, there's no real accountability. So the corruption in the healthcare sector is significant. There's no question about it. Drugs come in. There's no accountability for drugs. Sometimes we order stock for drugs because, yes, the international community provides a significant number of drugs for us. But that does not mean our government cannot take a dime out of our own coffers and provide some of those things. And because of that, babies die. People do die because of those things. Like nearly for a year, I was told the TB drugs were out of stock. The BCG drugs for the young people, for the children. And if those drugs are not there, some people get TB and some people will die because it's not a whole year time. And because we don't capture data, so we may not see that spike in 2021 of TB deaths. That's why I believe data is so important. Unfortunately, we don't have a premium on data. We don't try to collect statistics as we should, as LISGIS or any other government agency to collect. And unfortunately, we can't really track, we can't speak to some of these things very clearly. So the healthcare situation was one of the major things that the ambassador spoke about. Then, he talked about the waste management. And that has been something that we have talked about for a long time. Waste. The state of cleanliness in the city of Monrovia is horrendous. We know that. Luckily, we don't have some kind of serial plague breaking out or some kind of, disease that could affect multiple people, because if something does break out, a lot of people get sick and a lot of people could die. He expressed his surprise that the mayor of the city, Jefferson Koji, was lamenting about the fact that for 3 years, people have been supporting, and over last year, zero. And that caused it caused him to, not be able to execute. But he came back with a rebuttal that the context in which he was speaking was not what the mayor was speaking. But the ambassador was talking about. But when you say no donor or external partner is funding the recurring cost of solid waste collection and disposal, the implication is clear. You don't have any support in that department. So that's why you are lacking and failing. But still, when they were providing the support, it was not that Monrovia had ever been clean over the last 3 years. So I don't know where the disconnect is or what the explanation is. So there's a lot of work that we have to do as a people to be able to get to a level where we can operate as a sovereign country. Our independence and our operation as a sovereign nation can be very clear to other people. We can take our positions and not have, a U.S. ambassador or any ambassador for that matter. The EU ambassador, what did he say the other day? He said Monrovia was the dirtiest city he ever saw. They had to force him to take the statement back. I would love to see them force McCarthy to take this statement back. Yes, they can poke holes in it. And that's what I believe they were supposed to do in a holistic fashion. Engage the ambassador directly and make the case along all these different issues that they wanted to raise, whether from a unilateral, multilateral, ODA perspective of grants and loans, whether from the context in which Jeff Koji said he spoke, what are the inclusion of JJ Rabel as the, a beacon of presidency, even though his context was that he was a founding father, not necessarily like he was the best Liberian president ever. You just wonder what the founding father, and a founding father, if you look at it, whatever they put in our Constitution was detailing what their aspirations were for the country. And a lot of times, people talk about equality. Is equality real in the U.S. for the longest time? All men are created equal. Unfortunately, Black people were not equal. Other nationalities coming into the country were not equal until they probably assimilated. And in Liberia, we had the same thing. Unfortunately, the indigenous people were not considered equals for the longest time. And there's still a huge level of inequality existing in Liberia. And those are things that we as a people have to confront. We have to be very open about them. And we got to be willing to open our arms to each other, to love each other, and be able to, respond to some of these things. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. A lot of people are still kind of close-knit about these things. They stay tribalistic, they stay cliquish, and those kind of things restrict us as a people from being able to move in the direction we're supposed to move in. But let me pause for a little bit, just say hello to some people here. Achimo Fredericks, what's up? Richard Kosigbo, my man, you calling me ugly elephant. How can I be an ugly elephant? You better check yourself. Then I don't know what some people's definition of integrity, but it's just sad. They can't they don't understand what integrity is, but they will come and try to speak integrity and then they insulting. So what can we say? But again, hello to all of you out there who are here. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. We appreciate you participating in the show. So the issue with ambassador is something that we have to really ponder, and then in the final analysis, the ambassador was clear. He basically said what he thinks is going to happen. And if we can respect what he's saying in terms of the sanctions that they expect to put on our people because of what he said, the corruption, then what can he say? And just to quote his own words, he said, how will Liberia's first statesman feel to know that his country's top ally was compelled, look at the word, compelled. And so I mean compelled, I mean they got no other option. They are forced to do that. Compelled to sanction members of Liberia's government just to preserve rule of law and the democracy he helped establish. So rule of law is key. Corruption falls on rule of law. The impunity people operate falls on the rule of law. The lack of justice in the justice system falls on the rule of law. So he really highlighting all of those different things that are are affecting our country. Hey, yeah, Malek again, can you be making noise? I hope it doesn't disturb the show because you can't stop it when you start barking at the people going by. Talks, be quiet, okay? I'm talking to some people here. You want to say hi to them? Huh? Say hi, Talks. Say hi. Say hi, everybody. How you doing? Look at him. You want to lay on me now? My man. Yeah, so so that talks on his own now. So yeah, so I did a response to what the ambassador did. And like I said, I thought at first it was a joke, right? That the ambassador was basically questioning the essence of our government. And to me, it was in such a challenging and derogatory manner. But that's the reality. So, instead of asking about JJ Rawa, what are you or we Liberians saying about the state of our own country today? Because when it comes down to it, it's trending towards 2023. People got to ask themselves, is my life better today than it was in 2018? Or even if it's not better, if it's static, or even if it dropped, and you talk about the exogenous factors, those outside factors like the COVID, like the economy, like the current disruption of supply chains and all of that. But what's the prospect of your life improving over the next cycle, after the 2023 elections? That's why 2023 is a, serious decision point. Every election is really a serious decision point for the people because that's the opportunity to express themselves and to speak, even though they do have other media to speak through, whether that protest, whether that demonstration, whether that rally, whether that criticisms, whether that using the free speech and a voice to be heard. They do have all of that, but to actually change, because we don't have recall provisions where you can write and get significant number of signatures and be able to remove a lawmaker or maybe even a president. You can't do that, not in our constitution. It's something I think we should do though, because we got a lot of incompetent and non-operating lawmakers who don't represent the people and who need to be removed. But we don't have that. So the people have the ballot box in these elections. Yeah, and 2023 election is very significant. So, for me, I just think it's easy. If people feel that their life is good and in the right direction, they can stay with the incumbent. If they don't feel that, the opposition is there. So some people say, oh, the opposition fighting XYZ, so we can't vote for the opposition. That is complete nonsense. Because at the end of the day, even if the opposition were unified, it would have been one of two persons primarily. If the CPP has survived, it would have been Boyka or Cummings as presidential candidate. So that CPP vehicle, yeah, it may have broken down the highway, but that did not stop the occupants of the vehicle who will run the country from still moving on with their individual campaigns. So people cannot use that as an excuse to say, oh, because the opposition this, so we'll go with the incumbent. Nah, that's a fake narrative. You got to go with the situation, with the reality of your future, your children's future, the country's future. Who has the best opportunity to turn the dismal economic situation, the bad governance situation, and many of the other things that happen in the country around? That's the decision people should make. For me, my position is clear. I believe it's Mr. Cummings, but I'm not going to tell other people, oh, that Mr. Cummings is the man. No, I'm going to try to sensitize them, to make them aware. You see, the process is about education. How can we tell our people to become critical thinkers? What do we tell them in a short time for them to understand that they have to make that assessment based on their situation, their reality, not just somebody telling them go for X, Y, Z. No, that's dumb. Give them the reality of the citizen. That's why we're going to start to focus mainly on the bread and butter issues. We're going to try to dissect our economy, all different components of our economy, how they're functioning, how they're faring, what are some of the offerings from the ANC and Mr. Cummings in terms of how things will be different. We have to do all of that, and that will take time, but we'll do it because we got to break it down. Then we'll also have to conscientize our people about citizenship. What is responsible citizenship? What are their own individual human rights as inscribed in our constitution? inscribed in the fundamental international human rights documentation that they have out there, those different agreements. What are they? Do our people understand that? Do our people understand the power that's inherent in them? In Article 1 of our Constitution is very clear. The power is inherent in the people, and they have so many different ways of expressing that power, so they gotta use it. Let me take a drink of water. So the U.S. government, through the ambassador, and before that, there has been a build up to this. It's not like it just happened. No. If you remember back last year, March, what's the guy named Chris Smith, Representative Chris Smith? He called out George Weah and the government as kleptocratic. I mean, that's being roguish. Him probably making it sound good. Some boy know what kleptocracy is. Like they're stealing what people feel entitled to. They're stealing government money. That's what it is. Then recently, in February 4th, the House of Representatives in the U.S. passed a resolution 907. They were excited about our bicentennial, and they said they would support that. And they will continue to support the Liberian government because of the relationship. And that relationship, that's another thing that we got to talk about separate. But they said they will support them. But in the same thing, they said they promised sanctions for corrupt government officials. And the U.S., I believe, is like a blind man. When they say they come in chunky, that means they already got a rock in their hand. Then they didn't joke. The President Biden representative, Dana Banks, the special assistant of Joe Biden, she came to Liberia during the launching of our bicentennial for the arrival of the free slaves. What did she do? She begged the Liberian government, tackle corruption. And the Liberian people now, the leader of the government and the people. The people have a major role in tackling corruption. Tackle corruption. Fight for accountability and transparency. Oh my God. I don't know why people choose to call at this time, but excuse me, please. Okay, so seriously, man, people, why is their mindset when people call you and they don't get you, they keep calling? Why do they keep calling? I can't understand it. If somebody is not answering your call them another time. You don't force to talk to them at that particular time, but some people feel they have to. But anyway, back to the topic. So Dana Banks, the special assistant of Biden, she said the only way our country can move forward if we as a people and the government tackle corruption, fight for accountability and transparency. And we know very well this government is not transparent. They're not accountable. The government operates with impunity. Starting off, Ambassador Weah did not declare his assets. There was a scramble for property and wealth just straight into the door from January 2018. It started off like that. He didn't declare his assets until probably July 26, after he had already started constructing his 49 condos or whatever those are, and the 9th Street place had been broken down and was being built. Where is the money coming from? Where's the accountability? Where's the transparency? Even the way government is spending money, the trips, all these different things, we don't have any real clarity on that. Where is the consistency of audits being put out there and shared with the people? The depth of auditors, all of those things. This government has not been accountable to the people of Liberia, and government needs to be. Then all that was crowned up by now McCarthy telling us, say, oh, yeah, we're compelled to do it. So we'll see if they will do it. We'll see if all this noise that the, ambassador, starting from Chris Smith to the House of Representatives to Dana Banks to now the ambassador himself, let's see what happens. Whether this corrupt government, the way they operate, the way they tighten the business environment that limits Liberians from really being able to operate in an enabling environment, the way they try to extort business people who come in, the economy. The economy, no job creation, no clear direction of targeted sectors, the specific growth sectors that it would nurture to be able to expand our economy. You know, and we don't see it. We really, really don't see it. And the legislature is not that helpful. They're just like a rubber stamp group of people. I mean, anything from the executive, they just sign off. They're not creative in how they come, how they attack these things. I don't know if they even have a budget office because they should be really creating their own budget, and comparing those numbers to what the executive is offering. They can do that. They can do that. Most countries, legislature have their own budget office that really works and try to come from a zero-based budget to see how the country is operating. But if you just content, like most lawmakers are, to just get the salaries, we're not going to see anything. We really, really not. So, it's just a tough situation our government has to deal with. We just hope, we just hope the Liberian people can wake up. That's the key. Because everything is the people. The people have the power. It's just that we don't know, but we got to teach our people that they have the power, they have the ability to do some of these things. So we'll just run through some of the headlines for this week, beside the ambassador and his people, controlling everything. We hit on some headlines. The neck boss, she's still in court. I believe they will be passing judgment very soon in her case. President, we are talking about sustainable development, but there can be no sustainability in development if we're not doing those fundamental things. The simple thing like national ID card, we don't have it. The neck, I don't know where they are with connecting with the national ID card registry to be able to partner and not like duplicate what's already going on with this whole biometric that they're trying to move to. I don't even know the reality of the project, because when you look at the numbers in terms of how many people they have to register to get to that population to be able to do all the biometrics and everything, it's just crazy. So we don't think it's realistic. Um, I guess MCC deploy 120 waste inspectors we see. I mean, why you gotta wait until you get lashes before you do what you're supposed to do? Makes no sense. It actually makes no sense. Well, no, let's see. Okay. Binda. I guess Sam Jackson wrote a response to the ambassador on a pen name, and he came back and tried to use his own name because I guess, I don't know. I ain't gonna guess. I'll leave it at that. The government, I heard they were supposed to call the ambassador. I don't know whether they actually did for them to talk. There's a CBL. They say the CBL takes measures to safeguard financial macroeconomic stability. I don't know how to do it. They need to really, really share that information with us, because CBL policy has not been very clear in terms of where the macroeconomic situation is. But like I said, we'll be discussing economics separate. Actually, next week, probably Monday, we have a special show with Benjamin Fanier, a purported presidential candidate. He's going to be talking about election numbers and why he feels there is no way from a statistical perspective that the CDC can win the election. So that will be interesting to talk about. This other one, this other headline. After 27 months of pregnancy, a woman successfully gives birth in Lofa County. 27 months. So how many babies die? Some of these stories sound, you wonder whether they're true or not. So, but keep going. I guess You say Jala is running again in Lofa. But there's so many Jalas in Lofa. Again, the AML deal, we had a problem with that deal, the ArcelorMittal deal. Unfortunately, it seemed like the House is approving that deal, but there's some issues with that we have to delve into. So the comments they can just make you laugh. Even when people curse you, they even know how to curse good. But you curse them bad and then they say you bad. Yeah, so funny. But oh, you even know what Ben say? You say Ben is obvious, absolutely right, Eduardo. But anyway, we discussed that whole thing. That's what the show will be for Monday. We'll drill down into the numbers and see whether the attrition or the new people coming up are favoring we are. We'll see. Ben will give us a statistical, he says, analysis of why. But the news coming down to today now, what happened today, I will share with you the press release from the ANC. So let me share my screen for you all to see this press release from the ANC that was released today. Oh yeah, ANC statement. There we go. So the Alternative National Congress, the ANC. Oh, you can see me, but the Office of the Secretary General released today, and it reads: lawyers representing leading opposition politician of the Alternative National Congress, ANC, Alexander Cummings, have today filed a formal complaint to Stapen Area Magistrate Joman Jala of the Monrovia City Court against the state prosecution led by Solicitor General Sema Serena Cephas for prosecutorial misconduct. Mr. Cummings' lawyers have discovered during cross-examination of All Abraham Party, the ALP, National Chairman Theodore Momo, that state prosecutors aided by ALP's political leader Bernard Ure have criminally extracted several pieces of evidence establishing the innocence of and exonerating Mr. Cummings and his co-defendants from WhatsApp messages exported from collaborating political parties' National Advisory Committee chat room. And the information there, they have presented it to the court as the evidence in discovery. And they have found that there's some, contradictions there, and we'll share those. The intentional omission of any piece of evidence that speaks to the innocence of the accused amounts to misconduct on the part of the prosecution. In all criminal matters, the state/prosecution is duty bound or has a legal obligation to submit to the accused all the species of evidence the state has in its possession related to the allegations, and this includes evidence of inculpatory and exculpatory nature. So that one, the one that can criminalize the person, the one that can free them. That's what I'm talking about. The state's obligation is constitutional under the Due Process Clause. In a famous case, Brady versus Maryland 373 U.S. 83, in 1963, the United States Supreme Court ruled that the prosecution has a constitutional duty of due process to disclose material evidence favorable to a defendant. Any attempt by the prosecution to intentionally omit any piece of evidence that is of exculpatory nature or that seeks to exonerate the accused amounts to a material misconduct or ethical transgression. That's some serious stuff there for lawyers. And our own rules of moral and ethical conduct says, Rule 7 of the Rules of Moral and Ethical Conduct governing the behavior of lawyers in Liberia forbids lawyers from suppressing and secreting, or let me say secreting, because secreting is a different word by itself. Secreting information and evidence capable of proving the innocence of a defendant. The ANC says Cephas and team's conduct is grossly unethical and criminally unprofessional. Rule 7, the exact quote states, the primary duty of the lawyer engaged in a public prosecution is not to convict, but to see that justice is done. The suppression of facts or the secreting of witnesses capable of establishing the innocence of the accused is highly reprehensible and utterly unprofessional. But in that case, then civil being unprofessional for a long time now. The defense lawyers have therefore requested that Judge Joe Mangiala launches a full-scale investigation and brings sanctions on Councillor Cephas and his team, where appropriate. In addition, the defense lawyer have requested that the judge require Councillor Cephas and the prosecution lawyer to formally submit the omitted pages from the CPP NAC chat room favorable to and capable of exonerating Mr. Cummings and co-defendants. So let's see what those pages are, right? Because it is very important that people understand what transpired here. So so let's see if we can. I hope y'all can see my screen. Let me stop sharing and then make sure I share the correct screen so you can understand. So I'm about to share a specific screen. I'll go by window. Okay. So if you can see here, this is one of the documents, the evidence from the WhatsApp chat room that was sent to the court and copies sent to the Mr. Cummings and his co-defendants and to the lawyers. So as you can see here, at 7:54 p.m. on July 2nd, 2020, or let's say 7:42 before, there was a comment made, and Saboli asked from which party, and then Tito Momo responded, ALP, sir. Then there's no other comments from that point until July 19, 2020. So, and you can see it's on one sheet of paper. It's not like, the Tito Momo response stating ALP, sir, was at the bottom of a page and it went to a new page, and then it started from July 19, no, to say maybe some pages were missing. This is the one page where the information stops at the second and continues on the 19th. So we'll stop sharing here. So this, as you can see, the heading is the CPP National Advisory Council chat room. The CH is the beginning of the spelling of the chat room. And you see the same question there. So in one person chat, somebody can have a different name. In another person chat, they can have a different name. So in our previous chat, whoever it came from, maybe Mr. Ure or maybe Tito Momo, their name for Joseph Boyka was Saboli. In this case, Mr. Cummings has his right name there, Joseph Boyka. He asked a question from which party. Tito Momo answered ALP. Then you see the rest of the conversation that comes down. Where Mr. Cummings now says, colleagues, I hope, and this is July 7th at 2:04 p.m. Colleagues, I hope this meets all of you well and safe. A quick update since our last Zoom call. We have received resolutions on the framework agreement, which is FA, from all parties, with only one remaining to be notarized. We have a commitment that will be done today. We, through Mo Ali, okay, that Mo Ali again, will be coming to each of the political leaders, the PLs, for your signature on a final framework agreement. So yeah, that's July 7, 2020, where Mr. Cummings is telling his colleagues in the CPP National Advisory Council chat room that he'll be coming to each of them. And that person who's coming is Mo Ali to get their signature so they can file for the CPP certification with the NEC. And I want to mean they want to file it the next day, tomorrow. Okay. Then he continued. Well, that other continuance had to do with the voter perception survey, the VPS. The first meeting of the VPS Senatorial Election Committee is scheduled for 2 p.m. today. They will be charged with expeditiously finalizing the candidates' election process. Okay, so you can see he asked them, please revert with any comments or suggestions. Thanks. Right? Then Steve Zago says at 2:08, it was Mr. Cummings made a comment at 2:04. At 2:08, Steve Zago said, noted and thank you so much. At 2:17, Mr. Theodore Momo, who claims that the signatures were secured May 19th or May 20th, right after they did the ceremonial signing on TV, which was not the case. And he been perjuring himself in court. He said the national chairperson should do signing. He asks the national chairperson should be signing the FA as well. Mr. Cummings responded to him, yes, I believe they should. And that's a fact. They got the 2 spaces there for the political leader and 1 other representative from the party. For most of them who signed, it was the chairman. We'll try to coordinate all the signatures so we can file tomorrow. Then Mr. Cummings added Madam Bell Roberts. Then Mr. Musa Hassan Bilete at 3:58 said, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Jomli Kanga came in. She said, thanks. Representative Hanson Kiazulu came. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Joseph Papa Colette came in. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Larry Yankwe, kudos to you, Mr. Chairman. Then on the 9th at 1:27 p.m., so you'll see all this information is not on what was submitted to the court and what was submitted to Mr. Cummings' lawyer as evidence from the prosecution. They left all this out. Mr. Cummings said, final CPP framework document.pdf. That means he submitted that document in there, the final CPP document. And you know, the people technology, it can tell you the number of pages, 26 pages. Okay? The name is there again. Then Mr. Cummings said, for your information and record, the final copy of the CPP framework agreement. Who answers again? Who's the first to answer? Theodore Momo. Thanks. Then Vic Kokwa came in. Thank you, Chairman Cummings, for sharing. Good afternoon, family. Hope you are doing fine. Hansen Kezulu again, yeah. Larry Youngquist, thanks for sharing. So, folks, the thing is plain and simple. If they claim that there was a signed document, May 19, that Mo Ali went around and got signatures for, why then are they now talking about this framework document and everything like that? And there's other texts that we'll review throughout this week. There are other information that we'll review throughout this week. We'll read the comments very soon. That will show that on the 20th, 1 day after they signed that, they engaged the lawyers. They engaged the lawyers right away. They created a chat room. Mr. Cummings created a chat room with the lawyers for them to start discussing the issues that people had with the document. Okay, because there was a major issue there. In the document, the original document, they had a clause there called the famous jobs clause. A famous jobs clause where they were designating all the jobs, government jobs, to active CPP partisans, members, which discriminates against other Liberians. It was not appropriate for them to do that. So they recognized it themselves. That's why they called the lawyers. So that's why it was not included in our final document, our part of the revision. And we've walked through this before. It's just unfortunate that sometimes people's minds are so blocked. They don't choose to be objective and understand the issues. Really sometimes even when it's not for us, it's against us, we gotta be honest with some of these things. The thing is clear. They did a ceremonial signing on the 19th. All 4 of them were in different places. The next day, they had to go to the lawyers. The lawyers took like a month to review that stuff. They had meetings with the lawyers, and we show all those texts where they were setting the dates in the chat room for them to have discussion. The lawyers came to them, submitted a document, the revisions, the 10-point revision. They invited the lawyers. They had a meeting. There you go. They had a meeting, and they all agree that that framework document was the document they were going with. Unfortunately, some people left from all those arrangements, all those discussions they had in the chat room, that consistent engagement, and came out and accused Mr. Cummings. How can rational people do that? You put a document, and then later on, Bernard himself said it. We'll review the document, we'll revise it based on the input of the lawyers, under our instruction and guidance. He said that. The video is there. But then what happened? You come and you accuse somebody falsely, you know? So that's where we are, folks. It's very clear to me. I hope it's clear to many of you that the final CPP document was not done until mid-July, July 7th, July 8th, about there. That's when they finalized that document. They signed it. Mo Ali went around, got signature. He explained that on Spoon TV before. The video is there. The video is there where Mo Ali said it. Hey, Roof, you full of trouble. So Mo Ali is supposed to come in, you know, hopefully he'll testify and he'll be confronted with the truth. We just hope he tells the truth. You know, personally, I like Mo Ali. I just hope he doesn't perjure himself, you know, that he signed documents that the lawyer was still editing. What sense does that make to any rational person? Seriously. So now I really can scratch my head, my little boy head, I can scratch it and wonder why people do some of those things. So let's touch on some of the comments here. Hey, Anthony, good afternoon. Jerusha Colley, that's a nice name. Kefala, what's up? What are your numbers to call? Okay, if you're local, you can call me on 301-655-5984. If you're on WhatsApp, you can call me on 0770, and from Liberia, 0770-774411. People that still cry, irresponsible writer. No, I'm a very responsible writer. The other man, Richard Kozibo, the man come on the live and then he said, who got interest in this ugly element like you? My being, I don't know how you can call men like me ugly. You are. And the other one say, with this fool of no integrity, right? A man who does amen. And that's the thing. Many of these folks, they can write simple English, but they want to express themselves like intelligent people. And then he cussing. Hey, man, I'm sorry for him. But you can't delete comments like that. You got to let them stay. Kurbo Zumo Zakama, my own brother, he said, are we infinity glue? I think he meant infinitely, but that's what he said. Glued to this divisive foundation that we keep referencing? I don't think so. Let's agree hypothetically that our country was founded on a pseudo foundation. What have we done in the last 175 years to improve our people and nation? Zagama, you're right. Leadership upon leadership have come. We haven't done anything. The CDC, when you and I were there, maybe you stay there, I don't know. When you and I were there, that one of the things we're trying to come correct. We said there was inequality, you know, just among us Liberians as a whole in general. Let's try to balance that. There was division. Let's try to reconcile. The discrimination against women, let's try to do that. The youths are being suppressed. They're not being able to tap into their abilities. Let's release them. Let's find opportunities for them. Zero. So what is it? It's just sad. Akwe Baguye. You say, let's exchange views because I'm one of those who envy you on account of your academic and sincere contribution for training issues. Don't ever me call. You got a lot of contribution to make yourself. Anytime we can exchange views, like I said, the number here is 301-655-5984 if you're in the US. If you're not, if you're in Liberia, 0770-774411. Both numbers are on WhatsApp. So for those who will call now, I guess I got to answer the phone because I don't get the number. Next time I'll have it trending on the screen, the number to call. I don't think we created that banner yet. I could probably do it while we're talking. Let me see if I can. Okay, create a banner. CAL call +1 301 655 5984 or +231 770 774411 on WhatsApp. We can add a banner. And now let me click it. So no excuse. If you want call, you got these 5-10 minutes to make your call for us to, discuss this stuff. So I quit there. Oh, that Bertha you calling beautiful? Okay. Hi, Bertha Stewart. Hey, God just see first in case the government steals the election. That's always possible because back in 2011, there were fraudulent instances. Even 2017 elections that the CDC won, there were people complaining. So it's all about the gravity of the election violations or election theft attempts, whether they rise to that level of seriousness that they can influence the election. Sometimes, when ECOWAS come, I don't know whether they can be tired or what. They just say everything all right. But we know there are fundamental issues with the voter roll. Very fundamental issues with duplicates and ghost voters and all of that. And the NEC has to, or the opposition parties have to harass the NEC to give them an electronic copy. When you get that PDF document, it's difficult to convert that PDF sometimes to an electronic document that you can have everything in Excel, be able to review all those records or put it into a database and run some tests or sanity tests on it, as well as, some analysis of population groupings and everything so you can get a better understanding. We hope that that's what will happen. But the political parties really, really need to jump behind NEC early, to have these discussions and be very clear about it. But really, Baji, we now hear some people threatening government, so we really hope government does not cheat. So Kanga Pega says the ambassador is absolutely right. Waste management for me is a shared responsibility. Government needs to approach waste management from the community-based level. We can use waste management strategy to keep the city clean, but also provide jobs at the community-based level. The strategy just introduced by the Lord Mayor is not sustainable in the middle and long term. We need community engagements that can be sustained. Look, there are many people who have brought some very good proposals for waste management to our government. Unfortunately, it seems like they have been stringing some of those people, but they don't want to embrace it. But I've learned that if you can pay somebody to do something, pay them. If you can't do it, pay somebody to do it. And it's just sad that a lot of things in government where we don't have the competence for, because we know this government is incompetent. There's no if and about it. A significant number of people in government, the job description or the job requirements are way above their head. They can't function. And unfortunately, because of trying to hire some citizens too, many are not hired, they let go a lot of real professionals in the sector, and which is sad. And the reality is there is no way government can hire all the people that need jobs. You got to create the environment, an enabling environment for us Liberians to be able to create jobs, for us to form companies, for us to try to formalize the economy again. That's a whole different topic that we got to talk about. We got to talk about that $1 billion budget. How we get from where we are today to that $1 billion budget? How do we expand our GDP? What are those triggers for growth that we can look at? Job creation, our tax base, domestic revenue mobilization, which is trying to expand our tax base. How do we get all these people into the formal sector? So there's just so many different things that we can talk about. Okay, somebody is calling. Now, people, I'm not sure whether this is a caller for the show or not, but we'll do it. Let me test them out first. Hello? Hello? West have that free corner. So, hello? Yeah, who is this? Hello? Yeah, the call dropped. Sorry, folks. The other person said urgency is the reason why someone will read that multiple times if you don't answer. Seriously, though, what can I do? I don't know how many, 9,000 miles we are from Liberia in the US. What can I do? If somebody really has an urgency, but you know what? Let me not lie. I can do something because my niece was in an urgent situation the other day, and I could mobilize people to go to where she was to help her out. So it's possible. But most times I send money business we can be on here. James Tanu, Ava, you are very sick in the head and are disgraced. He put D. So the D and T thing here, people just won't be doing it all over. You put D and T to everything. Hey man. James Tanu, I beg you, man. You're better than that. Oh, there's another person. Hello? Hello? Yeah? Yes. How can I help you? What's your name? Okay, James who? James Foyman. Hold on, let me put you on speaker so the people that can hear your question. If they don't hear, I'll repeat it. Yeah, James. Okay. You on with me with the weekend review. Where's your comment or your question?
I just actually I don't think it's a question, but I just want to ask the general public, or let's say directly the government, how has they improved on the human capital development, which is key in every developing nations. I feel that that's one of the flagship program that you should have bring up that can uplift, especially the young people from poverty. Because when you invest into human capital, I feel that it could help greatly in elevating people from poverty and a lot of offerings that people are going through. And basically,
no, sorry, James, go ahead.
It's about time we get some consciousness into, yes.
Yeah, but James, your question is right on point. That's one of the fundamental things we need in the country, human capital development. I was reading a paper the other day, and it was very depressing. I think on average, we Liberians, we have 4 years. 4 years of schooling. That's the average. That is low, very low.
Very low.
And we need to improve that human capital. We really need to improve it.
We surely need to improve it, but unfortunately, there are no programs that support this.
James, you're totally right. This government has failed, especially for those young people who were looking at this government to be able to change their lives.
And not only in that sector. What if we look at the capacity building of even the people that are currently occupying positions right now?
But it's hard to build that capacity because the gap between the current ability entering that position and the actual requirements for that position is huge. So most of these people needed to go to school, get some kind of advanced learning before that attempt is made to put them into certain position, or they could have been understudy for different people to learn certain things before they come to that level, and that has not happened. So that's one of the major things that we really have to challenge. How do we accelerate the education of our people? The reality is, John, James, many of those young people today who are, whether they never went to school or whatever, they're not going to sit in the classroom from first grade to 12th grade or from fourth grade to 12th grade. No, we need an accelerated learning program where we can get them there, and they got to be tracked and aligned with whatever sectors that we're trying to build, our priority growth sectors. They got to be aligned with it so that they can have jobs. Because somebody go to school, go learn something for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, and they come out and they can't practice that. That stuff goes out the window. You just wasted resources.
That's terrible. That's terrible. It's a waste of resources indeed, as you're saying, Mr. Tupa. Looking at again, I just want to turn the angle a little bit to the issue of Mr. Cummins and the CPP as at large.
Okay.
For me, it's just like I don't even know how to classify that whole issue of forgery or fingering the documents. But for me, it was just a distraction to the bigger picture.
It is.
Because it was a very big distraction, and we have less time in our favor right now to send a very clear message to the public that this was all a distraction, and we need to focus on the bigger picture of trying to change the government and bring a more strategic one that is ready to work for the Liberian people.
Right.
Because if you look at what is happening right now, there are some things the mouth can't say, my brother. Trust me, because people are suffering.
Thank you, James. Thank you. People are suffering badly. I was there. I know. I can see it from here. I mean, every call after 2-3 hello is about begging, and it's hard. I believe Liberian people have pride and they don't want to be begging, but the situation is so hard that they feel begging is the best way for them to go. So a lot of people, they don't even know you sometimes. As soon as they engage you, it's about them begging for something. It got to be humiliating for them, but what can we say, This is Jurisha Colley. Jurisha says, Mr. Val, the only solution for these criminals come 2023 is to vote them out. You ever see criminal change? Some criminals can be rehabilitated, but I don't know if ours can be, because they're so deep into this corruption thing. To get them out would be difficult for them to change on the fly. Augustine Tamba, Mr. Val, what are your Joseph Jingin Rawa question? Mine. What would Joseph Jingin Rawa say about corruption in Liberia? What would he say about the present living conditions of Liberians? Joseph Jingin Rawa would look at it and say, but nothing changed from the time or yet. Because I know they didn't have flush toilet back then. Most Liberians still don't have access to decent toilet facilities. They didn't have running water. Most Liberians don't have access to running water. Many Liberians were walking already, and now with the gas situation, people are parking their car and walking too because it's probably cheaper. So a lot of things have not changed. We have not really progressed. Yeah, there's been some progression in Monrovia, but unfortunately, with the war and the migration to the city and the overload of the city right now, what was I reading today about a significant portion of Monrovia is in like flood zones, and with climate change coming, and most likely we'll have more rain than our regular rainy season now, which is about nearly 6 months. Can you imagine us having 8 months of rain? It will be great for agriculture, but at the same time, it will be tough for people. We're already scared of rain as a people. Then we have our sewer system is bad. It's all clogged up and stuff. Because again, waste management. People put waste down the drainage. So we have a lot of work to do, my people. And maintaining an incompetent government in that place, the work is not going to get done. All right, Ruth. Ruth says the praise and worship on the grounds of the CDC is now promising him 12 instead of 7 years. What? It's going to be 6 or Ruth. I don't promise 7. Oh, she said they don't even know the term of service, but the president turned me off it. Jesus. Okay. All right. Somebody said, did ANC political leaders sign a framework document? Yes, he signed it. The final one that we were just talking about, he did sign it. They all signed it in July and submitted it. Even though some people backdated their signatures, I believe, on some of the documents, but we'll show all those things again. We have all those things documented. It's just about timing, because sometimes you don't want to mess with the lawyer's case. The lawyers, expect the prosecution and their witnesses to do certain things. So they got to wait until the strategy is evolving towards the direction that they plan. And then they can bring some of these things out. So it's not like we didn't know about this, but we had to make sure it was aligned with what the direct examination was versus the cross-examination. And folks, I learned something today from a smart lawyer, Mariah Yekula. She said the prosecution does not cross-examine. They do direct examination. It's the defending lawyers that do the cross-examination. So I didn't know that. So I learned that today. So every day, try to learn something new. And that's what's happening with me. I'm always learning something new. Hey, Rose, we are just some kind of beings, Maria. That's all they know how to do insult, and that is normal norm. But you see, all okay, so it's just that sometimes it's not even worth insulting some people because they already represent insult. Khalifa Dolo, Mr. Tupa, do you regret campaigning for the CDC and also serving as chairman? Khalifa, we all question, given what happened, the amount of people who made sacrifices for the CDC to get to where it got, to be successful. Many are extremely disappointed. So to some people, they wasted their time. Where you spend 9 years, some people were there from 2005. They're just trying to leave the party now. So some people are 17 years, some people 16, some people 15, 14. Yes. Because you love Liberia, you definitely have to feel bad and regret that you put your time into something and you and the people got successful and they shifted and went in different direction. It's sad. If you had to advise Liberians, what would be your advice to them? The reality is, I'm supporting Cummings today, but I cannot guarantee. I can only look at Cummings' past performance of integrity, leadership, competence, being able to manage other people's money, and I still and say I expect him to do the same thing. But can I put my neck on the chopping board for him? I doubt it. You can't. And then it's all too about the surrounding cast. I believe Mr. Cummings is a hands-on manager. I believe he'll monitor activities that his direct reports and even extended reports will be doing. So I believe he will make a difference. I really do believe that he has that ability, that capability to really make a difference for our country. Unfortunately, George Weah never managed anything. That's why he needed the best people around him, the best competent Liberians. There are many Liberians on the ground, right on the ground there, who are qualified to help George run that country properly. But unfortunately, he has not made that effort to engage those people. He has not, as a leader, and that's what I appreciate what Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings said, look, Ava, I don't know everything. I got to respect the people who know something. The thing I know, I'm confident in it. And that's the symbol of good leadership. You're confident in your own knowledge. So you're not insecure about what other people are bringing to the table. You realize that this is a big cycle. This is a big tent. There's a role for different people. They can come in, fit in, and make their own contributions to what you all are doing. So it's very important for us to recognize the skills, the abilities of other people, and try to position them properly. Because this is a country you're running. This is a continuation. You can't put in incompetent people and expect positive things to happen. The first thing, most time, if you put an incompetent person, the person who reporting to them will not respect them and will try to run rings around them because of the ignorance. They don't understand the system. It's not easy to just come in If you're not one of those people who have that quick ramp up ability or have a diversified knowledge base that you can tap into, or you have a good network that you can reach back to and get information, you're not insecure to ask questions about things, because that will hinder some people from learning. They feel they're supposed to know everything. So they're not comfortable coming to other people and asking them because they think people will think they're stupid. No, you're not stupid if you ask questions. It's always best to ask questions. But now, I'm not saying for everything you must ask questions now, because there's a whole body of knowledge out here in the cyber world that you can tap into for anything you want to know something about. You can tap into it. But at the same time, you need some of that practical guidance, some of that practical experience, people who have done it before to be a part of what you are doing. So information is out there, it's available. It's just that people don't try to get to it. People don't try to find out what it's about. So we just encourage you, learn, learn, learn. It's never late to learn. Always try to learn. So folks, that's most of it. Want to thank our man James for calling in and one or two other callers. Oh, somebody calling you. Let me see. Hello. Hello. Yeah.
Already admire you during the campaign in 2016-17, but especially when you brought the present president, former ambassador, we had to meet you show and you really serve in your capacity as a chairman. We on both sides, we always consider to be one of the dinosaurs in the group. Just when we don't know how you guys went, but I don't know where you're thinking of coming from, knowing the kind of qualification you have for you to look at someone who, when they kick the soccer ball, they don't even know how many miles per hour a soccer ball travel. And for you to sit and campaign for that person, I just couldn't believe it. I don't know, you did it out of frustration because the Ellen Salute administration was not in your interest, or you just did it because I would not say for the law, but for you, I can vote for you in any capacity. Whether you do it wrong or right, because why you're an educated man, you're smart, and there is no corners that you will cut in life. But after this person, he cut corners in life.
Yeah, but you see,
our ignorance is what put him there.
Yes. So you see, it's about democracy, right? We say we have a democracy. Even though we have nearly 80% of our people who are illiterate and don't understand their own democratic rights, they don't understand how to vet a candidate, they don't understand how to analyze, they don't think critically, simply because of the limitations they have. They got common sense though, but when it comes to discerning the things of the state, it's difficult. But for me personally, I never supported George Weah on his competence. I knew he didn't have the competence. I supported him on the fact that I really believe that he loved Liberia and he would make the right decisions. Unfortunately, that did not happen. And that's why when you ask me if I regret, yes, I regret. I mean, it's always 2020 vision. You know everything. If I knew this was coming happen, no, I would never have voted for George Weah. Because it's not about me. I never dreamed that I won't be rich. That's not my goal. My goal always to make a difference and to help. So I'm not caught up with trying to.
You are a cool campaigner in the background. You don't put yourself on. I'm really happy our campaign, for the podcast. Every time we do our champion, we'll always discuss you how to get to you, But I think the decision you made, this is what hampering us, But this is my last question for you.
All right, go your last question.
My biggest question I want to be is of Christian leadership. I still brought the book from Liberia. Talk me. Then we have money we are now. So have the sophisticated leadership delivered a book for the Liberian people of continue to go for sophistication? What will you say about that? What did the China for Liberia to turn the map into a different area in terms of social media? Can you speak on that?
Do you say Southeastern in terms from a tribal or regional perspective?
No, I'm talking about region. I'm not a tribalist. I'm speaking from a regional perspective.
I really don't think the regional thing is about a time thing. I really wish more qualified Liberians, were available in a pool of candidates that can really compete. Unfortunately, many feel politics too dirty. You know, they don't want people to get on them. You see, not everybody got a tough skin. Let me, you can call you cross my mind, you cross my power. What does it mean to me? I know who I am. I know who my mom was. I know who my pa was. So I'm not gonna be moved.
Always in your face. I think drink campaign after you always cool.
Yeah. So a lot of people can't stand it. Their family members can't stand it. You know, and sometimes there's no way to protect your family member from seeing some of the negative things about you. But for me, I tell them, when you see it, you just ignore it, because what is it doing? It's not gonna stop you from going to school. It's not gonna stop you from graduating, from getting a job. So just stay composed about what you do. And a lot of people are not like that. So a lot of our good people stay away from politics. And then sometimes some people are extra high on respect, right? Somebody who 19, 20-year-old, probably still living with a mom or living in a little zing round, ain't got nothing for themselves, over there cussing responsible people. And then the responsible people don't even want to deal with that. They don't want to get upset. So,
yeah, so I'm so peace and leadership, man. That's my question to you. So I want for you to dive.
Yeah, you know, let me hang up and I'll answer that. So yeah, you know, he gave the example that many of our leaders have come from the southeast, but Ellen didn't come from the southeast. Ellen came from Bomi. Charles Taylor came from, I believe, Arlington. So there has been some disruptions in that, but yeah, Doe, Topman, Toba came from Bentor. So I mean, I think there's a balance there. You can't label people from the southeast as, you know, being the only place where leaders are coming from. I must say many of them are in the political space, but are also people from other you know, tribal orientation or other regional areas. Right now, we got, you know, Gonglo in the race. We got Boyka in the race. He was there before. And again, the population from the southeast is not huge, even though if you consider Bassa kind of from that side, and you consider the Grebo people, which is probably the third or fourth largest tribe because they're all over the country. It seems like the Grebo people are the real travelers. They're all over the country. They're not planting in their own county, but everywhere else they plant it. So I think it's a fair balance. I think the Liberian people should vote not on regional perspective, not on tribal perspective, but we should help to educate them. Civics is extremely important. We need to teach civics in our communities. We need to teach civics in our school. And I always say, I work with a group. It was Child Steps International. Now it's called Civics and Service International, that did a civics book that's being used in the school as the official text. And also we have a community version. And we have been looking for funding to help educate our people, you know, to the extent that anybody wants to invite Child Civics and Service International to come to their area to teach civics. We can rally, you know, get a trainer, get one or two books, go there. It's very interactive. People don't have the community version. People don't have to go to school, to go to college to understand it. All they can do is they can understand a little bit of English. Even if we need interpreter, if it's a, you know, insular tribal community, it can be done. So, but we need to teach our people for them to understand democracy, for them to understand responsible citizenship, for them to understand advocacy, for them to understand their rights, for them to understand dispute resolution. All of those things are what makes us better citizens, when we can engage and deal with the issues with all the huge emotion. Because let's face it, a lot of us in Liberia suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. That means major trauma happened to us that caused some kind of stressful thing that impacted us, and we don't operate as normal. Some certain things just trigger us and we get upset or we get mad, and we need to work on those kind of behaviors. So, you know, Konifa, that's not the case in terms of the whole regional stuff. We just hope that Liberians can make the right decision coming 2023 and just in general for elections for the leaders. So we got a couple more questions here, Mr. Tuba. Thanks for this very informative and educational show. I will appeal that you guys take such program to the grassroots that have the voting power. The level of ignorance among our people so high. Basically, just what I was just saying, Jakes. Thank you for this comment. We have to do it. We are trying to build relationship with radio stations now so we can get the message out there. Like I said, it's not just about campaigning for Mr. Cummings. I'm just focused on elevating the mindset of our people and changing them on some of the things that they just stuck on, that they don't, you know, they don't see. for me, I believe Mr. Cummings is the best candidate, but I want people to be able to say who that best candidate is based on the information that we serve them. And that's what's important, being able to take this information to the people for them to be able to understand it bit by bit. And that's what we'll do. We cut it down into bit sizes that people can comprehend it. And we'll keep saying it and keep saying it and keep trying to build relationships here and there, get on some of these community radio stations so people can hear our voices and understand where we are coming from. Wilfred Calon. Ava, good to see you. Are you in touch with Mr. Cummings? Oh, yeah. I mean, because a man asked me to resign, so I'm a key speech for him. Yeah, when there's opportunity to connect with Mr. Cummings, I'll connect with Mr. Cummings. I believe Mr. Cummings is a very good man. I believe he has some principles that he stands by. I believe my whole situation with the book will have been a distraction to his situation when he already had a legal case going on. And, it makes sense for him to asked him to resign. And it was not a problem as a professional myself. If you see that you're disrupting or you're distracting from the core mission that you guys are supposed to be on, you're supposed to do the right thing. So, yes, I still respect Mr. Cummings. I'll stay engaging when the opportunity exists. So, folks, I think we'll be on here for an hour, 30 minutes. It was time well spent. Next week, Monday, supposedly Mr. Benjamin Fanier will come on and he wants to present a statistical analysis of why he believes that George Weah cannot win these elections. It should be very interesting. I too have some thoughts on the elections and on the mindset of our people, what direction they want to go to. And we'll break out the numbers and look at it because there's a lot of leeway for anybody to win these elections. Honestly, the numbers can tell a story for us. So I want to say thank you. I missed my man Prince Gongwe today. He didn't come on. Hopefully he'll be on next Friday. But we'll be coming during the week. I've been promising that I will start my workout. Really, I hope I can start next week. Next week, like Wednesday or Thursday, I want to start because I need it now. I'm getting soft. So I need to work out and, be able to do some of the things that you enjoy doing, which is working out, exercising, getting your run in, getting your walk in, getting your little curls and pull-ups and stuff like that in. It's very good for the body. It keeps you fit. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next week, same time. Hopefully it'll be at our right time, which is 6 p.m. GMT and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Later, folks. Thank you.